Hello, my name is Douglas Epps, and welcome to my presentation on the immigration industrial complex, blurring the lines of private enterprise and public interest. Throughout this presentation, I will not be answering research questions. Instead, I would like to pose a few to you. For 4 years, I was an officer at an immigration detention facility ran by the private corporation, the GEO Group, where I witnessed immeasurable suffering and gained insight into the reality of private detention. That facility is Tacoma's Northwest Detention Center. Surprisingly, in an online survey I conducted of Tacoma area residents, 61% were unaware of its existence. Did you know your community is home to the nation's 4th largest detention center? The term immigration industrial complex is used to identify both a convergence and a conflict of interests, driving the U.S. government to pass and enforce legislation destined to fail. Within this complex, private corporations compete with each other for federal contracts to confine as many immigrants as possible. The more bodies confined, the more profit generated. Homeland Security pays the GEO Group over $100 per day per person detained at the Northwest Detention Center. The 2 largest prison corporations, Corrections Corporation of America and the company I worked for, the GEO Group, rake in billions of dollars a year detaining immigrants. This brings me to ask you the question, if we must detain immigrants, should their well-being be at the liberty of profit-driven shareholders or public entities? Private prison companies are notorious for running facilities chronically understaffed and often overcrowded, and have much higher staff turnover rates than public institutions. Violence is also an issue. There's approximately a 50% higher rate of violence in private institutions over public. Additionally, there's a long line of abuse, human rights violations, and civil rights lawsuits. Lack of adequate medical and emergency care, and no access to programs or education. Part of this may be due to the fact that private companies are not bound by the Freedom of Information Act, unlike federal prisons. And they are also protected in litigation by contractor immunities. So this leads me to ask another question. Should private prison companies be allowed to lobby for strict immigration policy that criminalizes immigrants in order to increase their profits? The years surrounding 2005 were a very important time for the private prison companies. Since then, GEO and CCA have more than doubled their revenue. From 2005 to 2012, the amount of detention bed space has also almost doubled. You can see the importance of this time period in the graphs I'm showing. In 2005 alone, CCA spent a record $4 million in federal lobbying. That's more than Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo combined. Over a 10-year span between 2002 and 2012, Corrections Corporation of America and the GEO Group's campaign contributions have also more than doubled. Additionally, CCA has allegedly had a hand in drafting a model for the notoriously restrictive Arizona SB 1070 bill, which mandates law enforcement to stop and verify community members' immigration status at the risk of apprehension. This is known as the Show Me Your Papers bill. It's widely criticized for infringing constitutional rights and encouraging racial profiling. Beginning in 2005, the federal government has taken a hardline approach to immigration offenses, taking the criminalization of immigrants one step further. For example, Operation Streamline originated in 2005 and requires federal prosecution of all undocumented border crossers, legitimizing the myth that immigrants are criminals. It also streamlines the hearing process, trying up to 80 immigrants at a time in assembly line hearings. As a result of this new policy, in 2013, more than 60% of all federal convictions have been for immigration-related crimes, diverting much-needed resources away from the pursuit of real crime. So there seems to be a coincidence, or a correlation. Peaks in corporate lobbying and campaign contributions appear to align with some of the most criminalizing and restrictive immigration policies of our nation's history. Corporations like GEO and CCA are sacrificing the integrity of America for the opportunity to make a profit off of human suffering. But maybe raising awareness can influence our conscience and also influence change. Thank you.